All right, welcome on into the show. My name's Denny Gallagher, and I'm joined by the snare campaign provocateur. He's back, and he is, quote, and this is a direct quote I heard at one of your shows, Mr. All the ladies are swooning over him. It's Benny Horowitz. I'm not fucking kidding.
Excuse me? You overheard this at one of my shows?
At one of the Gaslight shows, and
Tell me more. Tell me everything.
It is a source very close to my personal situation. That's right. The girlfriend was like, "Oh my god, all the women at this show are swooning over the guy on the drums."
Wow. Wait. The guy I had on the drum head?
No.
Okay. Because Tim Meadows is a very, very sexually ambitious man. I thought that might have been it. Well, that's nice to hear, Denny. Because usually when I go up there, I feel like a little bloated and kind of fat and self-conscious, and I'm like, do I even know how to do this? So the idea that I can come across to the world as some confident Danny Trejo or something it's very nice to me.
So, and see,
swoon.
I know.
If they were swooning, wouldn't I know? Wouldn't I notice? Like I'd see like, someone looking at me swooning, or maybe some male or female underwear winding up on stage. Something fun.
I think that your crowd kind of likes to keep it close to the vest a little bit, so it's like it's like a secret infatuation. But
so tell me, after the show, are there people? Are there people who go home and fantasize about me?
Yes.
Wow.
And then they tune into the
tune-up. That is stunning to think about. It makes me really happy, actually.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh man,
right. But sex symbol. Never thought of myself like that.
Come on, I've been trying to prop you up on this image for a couple years now. Benny Horowitz, the sex symbol.
I don't. Well, listen, if Paul Rudd got voted like sexiest man alive,
that's true.
So I'll never claim to understand what's sexy anymore. I don't get it.
Yeah.
There's Jason Momoa like exists in the world, and they gave it to Paul Rudd. So maybe I am, because I don't really understand the barometer anymore.
It's very true. But what's up, dude? How was everything? We are back, ready for another edition. But you've been going everywhere, kind of like what's that? A Hank Williams song? I've been everywhere, man. Yeah. That's been you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like when these tours got popped up and you see them on paper, it's like, oh, it's just 2 tours. One is like 3 weeks, one is 3.5 weeks. You're like, no problem, bust it out. And then by the end of it, by the last couple shows, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It's like just this rip roaring, and I kind of forgot like how quickly the whole thing can take you, and how you gotta, lose your mind a little bit to even like adapt to it, and then jumping back home, and that it's a mind fuck. It's really like, it's a very interesting thing. I came up with a little bit of a theory this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot, but it's like, I think everybody, like musicians and entertainers and even athletes and stuff, a lot of times later in life fall into patterns of, drug and alcohol abuse and stuff. And I think people find it more of like a personality trait, or like something that happens to these people. When the longer and longer I do this, I think there's a real physiological connection between, jumping up on stage every night and having a massive blast of adrenaline and serotonin, and, to the absolute max it can go. And then, supposedly coming home, and supposedly, you're supposed to be dead keeled and even in regular life. And when you're used to such extreme ups and downs, I think your mind and your body starts to try to find interesting ways to get that feeling. So, like, so I think that's like a double-edged sword. I think, musicians and stuff should get a little more of a pass as far as like where their heads are at and what happens to them. But also, like, there should probably be a little more awareness about that, and so people can sort of stay ahead of it,
Yeah, it definitely seems like a big mental health thing. I mean, so for you, right? So because the entire time I'm like trying to figure out what your show day is like, and I know that that'd be like popular like vlog content, but like
Right.
so these shows get done at about what like 11, 12 and stuff like that. And then you get on the bus and you're just like doing the damn thing. So kind of take me through like because it seems like you could enter the Twilight Zone and kind of lose track of like time and space and everything when on the road.
Yeah, well, I mean, it quickly by default goes to that, and it almost falls into like, I used to work nights,
Yeah.
and when you're, say, like you said, getting off stage at like 11 o'clock, and filled with adrenaline, and I go and I take a shower, and that's when you eat dinner, because I can't really eat like a lot of dinner prior, because I'm
Yeah.
too heavy and stuff. And so all of a sudden you're showered and you're eating and you're chatting with people and calming down, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then, they'll say bus call is 2 o'clock. And, the last thing I want to do is sit on a parked bus. So you kind of poke around until 2 in the morning, then go on the bus, and other things happen. And before you know it, it's like, and this, I'm not even talking about drugs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's literally like, oh, the Mighty Boosh is on, like I'll watch that for an hour. And before you know it, like I'm in like a 10 o'clock bedtime routine when I'm home. But before I know it, I'm in like a 3, 4 in the morning bedtime routine where, I'm starting to push noon the following morning and stuff. And it's like, it just flip flops so quickly. It's really like a physical anomaly in a lot of ways.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But dude, I want to talk about some of these venues that you went to, because there was one, dude, I was trying to go to this show, but the new venue at Fenway. Tell me about
Oh
it.
yeah.
That seemed fucking cool.
I was in Red Sox territory. What's funny about that venue is like
Yeah.
the Red Sox own the venue.
Wow.
So normally, musicians come in, they kind of have their fill of a place and stuff. This was like, no, fuck you. Like Xander Bogaerts is here. Like you guys are like second fiddle, and you got to follow our rules, So that was a funny part, and it was a game day as well. So like it was an extra clusterfuck for sure. But kind of exciting, and the venue itself was really cool. I mean, it's like, brand new, like all the crew of ours was so happy because at these giant brand new venues, just all the audio and all the technical stuff is so sharp for them that like it's a very easy day, for a crew like that. I miss like in some of the cities like Boston and DC, Philly, we were ambitious with venues and we played bigger places than you normally have. And they all happened to be like very beautiful theaters and beautiful rooms. And we had quite cool shows there. So it kind of led to, one thing which was cool is, there's a lot of stuff on Handwritten and Get Hurt that kind of like in my head was sort of like built for big rooms. Like the drums are kind of like those big mean drums that should like affect out, and like kind of the rooms are starting to fit the sound a little. I'm like, all right. I'm like, Too Much Blood all of a sudden sounds really big, like in one of these giant theater rooms, when in like a bar it maybe didn't fly as nice, It's like but I think that's what a lot of these touring cycle has been, is like it's almost like a reevaluation adjustment of how we're going to do this now. How we're going to do it personally, physically, how we're going to do the show to age gracefully and make sure that like this is staying fluid and staying in the same direction. And you can't just like push the same buttons you used to push. You kind of have to search around and figure some new avenues out. And I think that's a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, so you talked about a lot of these newer venues. I mean, is it kind of sad that now they're in these like entertainment centers, because there's like the Anthem in DC, there's like this whole like waterfront thing. It's not so much the like, oh, like on the other side of the tracks, and we're just gonna roll in our van a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a wildly different experience. And for a band like us, it's working right now, but it's not to say it's like better or worse,
Yeah.
But that's the thing with a lot of these places, like the guy who runs the Anthem in DC is the same guy who runs 930 Club.
Yeah.
So, like, you're in that venue and you still have the 930 cupcakes and stuff like
there we
that.
go.
That shit's still there. So it's like, and in reality, there's some like corporate overlord shit going on with all this. Like, most of the rooms we played on this tour are Live Nation rooms, and there is a reason for that. So, we could get into a huge conversation about the pitfalls of touring and the fact that there were a number of people who went nowhere near this tour, didn't have to play and didn't have to write music, who are coming home with more money than I am. So there's a lot of problems with the music business. And we could do a whole separate podcast about that.
And we have, and I'm sure, glad to know that, because, we've come into some money from the Live Nation crew that they're still on the chopping block. But let's
until Live Nation gets behind the tune-up, no more plugs. No more free plugs for Live Nation.
They've taken enough.
Ugh.
But the PNC show, man, tell me about it.
Just epic,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the usual like Jersey deal where, there's so many people around and family and extra things to deal with. By the time you get on stage and it's like 40 degrees out and you're a little frazzled, and I wish it wasn't the case, but if people saw like, the show in Pittsburgh like 5 nights before, they probably saw a better show. They saw a tighter band for sure, because everyone's just so fucking out of their minds at those shows, and there's so much extra pressure, and it's a bit of a head fuck. But I had a lot of surreal moments, thinking about the past and my family being there and stuff like that. It was a heck of a way to end the program. But 42 degrees for a drummer outside, it's not the easiest. I had hand warmers.
The
whole deal. I was trying to stay legit out there.
Love that. And the kids were there. The kids showed up. And was that the first time, or like not the first time that they've seen you?
Not the first time they've seen me
that?
play, but getting to an age where it's more significant, so it's special. It's very cool.
That's really cool. Well, the entire experience, I gotta tell you, to like see you up there like doing the art at like peak happiness and like what the arts and everything could possibly be was really super inspiring. So
thanks, man.
Well, you want to know what segment is inspiring each and every time we do it?
Don't know.
It is, in case you may have forgotten, it is this day in music history. All right, Benny, what do you got? As every time, since we've been doing it live, I have the sounder here and I just forget to get it. But what do you got? This day music history.
Benny, you know what we're going to do to start off this year? I want you to go first.
Oh, my gosh.
Why don't you ever go first?
Oh, because
you
I'm chivalrous.
Give it to me, You kick this one off.
All right, Benny. Well, on this day in 1990, I'm really going to go out of left field for the tune-up audience. Leonard Bernstein died of pneumonia. And why am I bringing up a composer that put together the scores for West Side Story, On the Waterfront, which is, a little based in Hoboken a little bit. So I guess there's a New Jersey tie. No, I'm bringing up this because with the Hollywood connection and everything, his life is coming to the big screen, and he's going to be played by Bradley Cooper.
Wow.
So I bring this up to kind of dive into his life getting the Star is Born treatment, because Bradley's directing it, he's producing it, he's doing the whole damn thing. So this day, Leonard Bernstein died in 1990, so that Bradley Cooper could probably try to get his next Oscar.
You know me, I'm a Cooper guy.
Yeah.
So that sounds exciting. I'd watch this picture. I like West Side Story. Do you know I was in West Side Story?
Oh no, yeah. High school? Rutgers? Jokes.
No, I was in West Side. No, I'm being serious. My buddy Mike Greenstein was the lead. He was Tony, and I was Riff.
Okay.
I can see it. To worm, boom to tomb. I know the lines.
Oh, I love it. There's been a lot of music movies. I saw this Cate Blanchett movie, Tar.
Okay.
Where she plays a fictionalized composer who kind of like loses her shit. Great movie. I'd go see it, but it completely tells on itself at the end. Anyway.
Okay. All right. What about my
Yeah.
this day?
What do you got?
So today in 1972, Michael Jackson's Ben, of course I had to cover this subject, hits #1 in the US, but unknowingly to most people, this song is about a boy and his love for his pet rat.
Did you
Now, I
have a
love
pet
when
rat?
weird songs like that go to #1.
Yeah.
And it was because of the movie Ben, which was a sequel to Willard. And in both films, Ben is a pet rat who leads a super intelligent rat colony that turns on humans and begins killing them. In the second movie, Ben is befriended by a young boy, which is what the song is about. So the film wasn't too big, but Ben went on to be this huge song. And I think very few people knew Michael Jackson was singing about a boy and his love for a pet rat, you know?
Yeah. Now, have you ever had a pet rat?
Not a pet rat.
Okay.
I had a couple guinea pigs one summer. I think my 3rd grade class had guinea pigs. I got to take them home for the summer, and one of them died.
Oh my gosh.
That's probably part of the reason I'm a musician doing podcasts even today. This is the lasting effects of that. Don't bring that up again.
Oh man. Well, Benny, let's get into lasting effects, shall we? And somebody who has had a lasting effect on my heart, Rihanna. So since we I know I really built it all the way up there and kind of.
Oh no, I'm a fan. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Well, since the last time we potted over here, the NFL, among other things, announced that Rihanna will perform at the Super Bowl halftime in Glendale, Arizona. You know, it's a familiar place for Giants fans. In the first year where the halftime show will be sponsored by Apple Music and not Pepsi, she makes her first performance return since 2018, and she hasn't put out new music since 2016. So a lot of people are anticipating that, but this is all brought up as a non sequitur to bring up. I want to start the campaign right here, right now. Rihanna, Gaslight, Super Bowl. Who says no?
Oh, like a lot of people. I think I'd say no. I don't want to play the fucking Super Bowl show. You know what we'd have to do to make that entertaining? For the 400 people at home who'd be like, oh, the 59 sound. There would be about 100 million who are going, what the fuck is this? No, that's not happening. But love Rihanna. You know, I think she's it's fucking Super Bowl. It's halftime. She's a pop star. She's great. Tons of people love her. We'll probably be in conjunction with her having like new music and some corporate takeover for something. It's perfect. Rihanna, why not? Like, I'll watch her at the half. Let's go.
Now we're going to get to the football in just a little bit, but any chance Big Blue return to Arizona?
You know, the year I try to protest the NFL officially is the first year in like a decade the Giants are really intriguing. You know, it's what a fucking bummer, but it's fun.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know if we're getting there with Daniel Jones quite yet. He might be our stopgap guy.
Oh, all right. Well, I love it. Rihanna, Fendi, low-key billionaire Rihanna. So
is that right?
Anytime, yeah. I mean, her
low-key billionaire.
I mean, because she's not out here flaunting.
Yeah, she plays it low.
Yeah,
Aren't there like famous videos of Rihanna like cleaning her own apartment?
Yeah.
So respect.
Yeah. Rihanna, all tour team for sure.
Any billionaire who knows like what like Mr. Clean is or something, I respect, you know? Like how many billionaires actually know how to like clean a toilet and do it right?
Yeah.
Probably a bunch don't.
Yeah. Well, shout out to her. Well, speaking of two opposite ends of the spectrum, well, who they're portraying is the opposite end of the spectrum. Benny, Jonah Hill has a new role. You know, we talked on this, how he's going to portray Jerry Garcia in Martin Scorsese's Grateful Dead biopic. Well, he's also got another role lined up that he's helping produce. He is going to be John Daly, the golfer, in a biopic about the guy's life. My guy's out above the line, reported at first. So Jonah Hill, John Daly, Collision Course. What do you think?
Why not?
Yeah.
That was one of those ones that got sent to me where my automatic reaction is like, sure. Yeah. Because I feel like his character in Wolf of Wall Street, you know, as the accent will be different, the thing, but like totally believable sleazeball.
Yeah.
You know, like 100% believable sleazeball. So right off the bat for Jonah Hill, I like the character. I think he'll play it well. I don't exactly like John Daly as like a guy, but it is an intriguing story and has all these weird like human elements to it that you can tie in, and kind of this weird like mythological figure in a different sport and stuff like that. So I kind of love it. I think I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I'll see it.
I wonder if this ends with him going to Live Golf and being like, "Hey, I'd love a cool $200 million," and I'm just being like, "Nah, good guy, we're good."
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'd be eager to get into the Hollywood entertainment game. So if they can
Yeah,
get one of them on their
that's true.
payroll, I think they'd be pretty stoked, actually.
You know what's funny? You know, when we all first saw Wolf of Wall Street, we are like, oh, like big Leo vehicle. But you could argue over like the next 10 years that both Jonah and Margot have had bigger careers. So like it's like a super interesting like divergent path point there.
It's just same in music, you know. The shit just runs in waves.
Yeah.
Can't be at the top forever.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Oh man. All right. Well, you know, you can't even say that they were at the top, because when was the last time the Washington Commanders won a Super Bowl? And Dan Snyder
Got two playoff wins in the
Yeah.
last 25 years, something like that.
So we got some football, and you know, we only get on here to talk football if A, the Giants are miraculously having success,
Or there's drama.
Or there's drama, and we got all of the drama. ESPN, with a culmination of their very talented reporters, are reporting that troubled Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder told an associate that while all the pressure is going on to get him kicked out of the league, that he has enough secrets to blow up several NFL team owners, as well as the league office and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. I love it. I love when a guy gets cornered like this and he's like trying to punch his way out and everything like that. But I want to start the complete reckless speculation game here. We have nothing to lose in this capacity. What do you think the dirt is?
Well, here's the thing, and this is where just living a long life is fun.
Yeah.
Because I have no connection to the life of upscale billionaires and corporate people and the life they live. I didn't grow up that way. I chose a very different life, and I've had like no exposure to it.
Yeah.
What I have had exposure to is gangster shit. And like after story of like high level business stuff and gangster shit is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what some gangster ass dude does when he knows he's about to get locked up, when he knows he's about to get his ass kicked, when he knows he ripped off the wrong person. Yes, I'm saying he for most of this because, you know, usually terrible shit is male. Look at the story we're talking about. So that's just what it seems like to me. It seems like some dude who's had a lot of fucking power, a lot of influence, a lot of money, who sees, you know, he's been getting picked on in his mind, you know, these psychotic minds of these people. He thinks he's been getting picked on by other owners and people, and they don't see the really good things that I do, and blah, blah, blah. And God knows with the circle of people they have around them, what these guys can convince themselves of. You know, It's not like there's someone still poking around his crew that's like, hey, Dan, take it down a peg, all right, fella? Like no one's allowed to do that anymore there. And they surround themselves with it. So that's what it reads like to me. It reads like, you know, the heat is really on, where he really saw that he could lose his shit. It's so, you know, he's been a public embarrassment for years. Like, even if you have a cursory knowledge of the NFL, he's known as like the worst fucking owner and the sleaziest owner and the worst organization. It's kind of like well known. So when he sees himself being taken out of the mix, you know, he's gonna say this shit. And if there is some dirt, like, I don't know. I mean, there's just some like rich guy stuff that I'm sure they're going to manage behind closed doors anyway. Like, that's how this stuff works. Like, it doesn't get him anywhere by embarrassing like 29 other billionaires. You know, there's some rich guy bars of soap and a sock kind of thing that'll happen to him if that goes down. So that's what it feels like to me. Like everybody else, like he's just scared and kind of a wimp. And this is how like these types of dudes act. Like I don't know. And I'll never know. We'll never know.
I think it's amazing that the NFL owners can't agree on bleeping anything, how to handle player suspensions, how to handle all of this stuff. Like, there's only two things that they agree on. How do we make this thing worth $100 billion and let's all get rid of Dan Snyder? So it's like those two things come together. Heck, they even got Bezos involved this year to be like, how do we get the hush money up to such a level that this guy
Yeah.
can go quietly into the night?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so if that's the case and they've been pandering to him so long, do you think there's, something behind his allegations of him having dirt?
Oh, I mean, there's 100% dirt. I don't think that you can accomplish anything of that magnitude financially in this country without having like a little bit of shady practices going on. Whether that be like bookkeeping, whether that be whatever happening. Allegedly, sprinkle that everywhere just so that I don't need to get black bagged at my front door.
Yeah.
So the NFL is too powerful for all that, but. No, I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of bodies buried. You don't build something that big without some stuff going down along the way.
I mean, it could even be like real, like you hire a private investigator about anyone, you might turn up like a second family, some Robert Kraft, tug job type places, type stuff going on. It can even be like things we don't even consider, like what if someone's secretly doing very altruistic liberal donations?
Oh,
That's what he
no.
has on him.
That's the. I super wonder when
this guy put money towards diversity. Get him out of here.
This guy gave away his entire fortune and watched like
What
the
a piece of
Patagonia
shit.
guy is secretly like the owner of the Seahawks.
Oh, dude, the Patagonia guy is he's in like a cellar right now, like being tortured for what he did. I don't know what happened to him.
It's not allowed in this America.
No,
oh,
I'm
my
scared.
goodness.
Good thing he can climb mountains because he's gonna have to
That's right.
go to the top of one to survive.
Oh man, I super wonder though with the NFL at what point it's gonna happen as society moves forward. Like at some point, it's not gonna be the like aristocratic thing. Like I feel like they're gonna get to a point where the dollars are gonna start to be impacted because they don't give a fuck about any social causes or anybody outside of themselves.
It's you would like to think that, and I'm certainly. Let's just take this for example. I turned down writing my NFL thing for Spin this year because of my objection to the NFL going into this season. I'm like, I might get suckered into watching it or a fantasy league, but I'm not going to like openly pander to it this year. And apparently I was not the only one who turned down the article this year. There was a handful of people. So, I mean, there is like a growing sentiment. And I do think there's going to be a growing group of people who are going to willingly ignore the league because of that. But I think they know that, and I think they've read the reports and they know the demographics and they know who they're losing and who they're attaining, and they're comfortable with that. And I think that's where the decision is being made. And it's like, they're just like, hey, fuck the NBA audience. We're going for the NASCAR audience. And we're going to keep this up. And NASCAR has plenty of fucking fans. So I'm afraid like that is probably more realistically the case.
It's super interesting in that, and it may not even be those people because there's rumors that they want to have two teams in London and two teams in Germany to try to create a whole other division. So maybe they're trying to jump off of the boat. They're like, all right, we're kind of pissing off the Northeast here a little bit, or like the West Coast. Let's kind of move over to people that don't know what our bag is.
Let's move over to the far right Germans. Oh, good.
That worked good. Oh man,
let's get them on board.
All right.
Wait, time out. I got to plug in my computer.
All right, sounds good. Even though we're doing this live on the internet. All right, so our next story that we're gonna get into as Benny works to plug his computer back in. Let's talk some baseball. And boy, I gotta tell you, this Aaron Judge thing has really got me back into baseball since we have been off. I I didn't think that we would ever have a point where the conversation about baseball would get back to like, oh my gosh, this era versus that era and everything like that. But it's been really cool to see the Aaron Judge, Barry Bonds debate, people actually caring, having some sort of feeling about, the past of baseball versus the present of baseball. So to see all of that kind of culminate into now a debate, having had Aaron Judge go for 62 home runs, questions about Bonds' 73. It's been really cool to see people, kind of be like, oh no, Aaron Judge is the home run king. And then people be like, nah, Barry Bonds is it. So, Benny, while we were away, this all went down. Who is your home run king? Just for starters here, Aaron Judge, or do you still rock with Barry?
No, it's Barry Bonds. I'm afraid to say. I don't know if I'm in a minority here for Yankees fans, but I am a baseball purist in the sense that I think every era of baseball has done awful and fucked up things, and that you could kick most people out of the Hall of Fame if you want. Babe Ruth didn't have to play against a black guy. That probably helped. There's like a lot of shit inside of the context of the arguments that, I don't totally agree with. And I also don't think Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs just because he was stronger. Like I could go take steroids. I'm not hitting a fucking home run. So no, I do think Barry Bonds is still the leader. But I think here's the thing about this for me is like, me, I like sports as entertainment. And the one thing I can't deny the fact that the summer of 98, I was glued to fucking TVs watching these fucking home run races. I knew these guys were jacked up on steroids, and I would have watched McGuire and Sosa and Bonds hit home runs all day long.
Yeah.
I was like, what does he have now? 66? 67? Can he get to 70? I fucking loved it. And it basically saved baseball and got people interested again. And the one thing that was really obvious and palpable about what just happened was like, I haven't seen that since. And that's why Aaron Judge is like so important right now. It's like, this is what baseball is all about. It's about gigantic, larger than life Yankees going after, unbeatable records and things like this. This is what finally draws people in again. And I haven't seen people sit there waiting for a certain player's at bats, just glued to the fucking TV, waiting to see what's going to happen. And all of a sudden your marginal fans are interested in stuff since I watched Barry Bonds and all these guys go for that chase. So I think it's awesome for baseball, and they figured out a way to get it. I think the one thing, Judge does not hold the record, but the one thing I think you can consider with his task being more Ruthian than the others is the fact that Aaron Judge hit 20 more home runs than anybody else in the league this year. And none of the other guys in the 90s could say that. Like everything was boosted, everything was high. The two 98 and 99 are the years Ken Griffey Jr., everyone's golden boy, hit 56 home runs. He was doing steroids too. Sorry. So I think that's the cool thing about Judge's record is just his size, being a Yankee, hitting that many more home runs than anybody else in kind of a low home run, low scoring era. I think that's what's like historically going to be most impressive about it. Kind of came out of fucking nowhere too. I think that's why it was interesting, and it felt more pure. It felt more pure as a result. So I loved watching it. I really wanted Judge to break it and all that, but I do think Barry Bonds is still the home run champion.
And in this era of pitching too, I mean, like with like the shift and everything like that, to almost get the Triple Crown and all of that stuff, it is this, we hear all the time from the past about baseball, about like mythical stuff that happens, and it gets written about in books, and it's blown up larger than life. This was one of those seasons, and we saw it happen in the age of the internet and everything like that. So baseball still has a chance, but they may need to reconsider how they, handle the analytics, how they handle the pitching and everything, stuff like that. Have it guys in the backyard just playing, and that's what it seemed like Aaron Judge was doing every day, and people effing loved it.
Yeah, and it's definitely the truest record. It's since we've been breaking this home run record. It's the most honest run at Roger Maris's record, you know, like it
Yeah.
based on statistics and history, it is. I just wish everybody else had a little asterisk next to their name or something, you know?
And the absolute worst part of this, when you saw like most of the people that were like, oh, Aaron Judge is the home run king, were like these like older white dudes. And I'm like, all right, come on. Don't be so obvious here with this, please. Please.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
There is a lot to it.
So,
you know, and no one gives a fuck about Roger Maris. That's the thing. It's like they all his name only comes up like once a decade when someone else just comes towards 61, you know.
I love that his kid was like starting the fire. We would not be having this conversation if his kid didn't get up in front of microphones and be like, Aaron Judge is the home run king. Nobody was talking about this. And then
but that
Roger
was
Maris
happening in the 90s too, when
Yeah.
these guys were breaking the records. And that's why it's always been just this point of contention that's never been flattened out. And that's where I wish baseball would just like put a fucking cork in it, you know, like, but you still have guys getting suspended for steroids. So it's like, is it actually over? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? And we'll never know. It's years down the road, we may not even know. But let's get into some of this NLDS, ALDS action. Great stuff happening right now. But do we want to pour one out for the Blue Jays? Do we want to pour one out for the Rays? And do we want to pour one out for the Mets while we're here?
We can pour one out for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I feel for them. Young team, exciting. I wanted to see what they could do. The Mets. Am I pouring one out? No. They literally changed the rules of baseball to let them buy this team, you know, and let them keep this team in perpetuity. If you get knocked out of the playoffs, fuck you. Your fault. You should have done it better. I don't know. And then the Rays, you know, I actually had this conversation in Boston the other day when, you know, I took a picture of some Boston stuff while I was there and had a lot of conversations about baseball. And that night, the Rays were playing the Red Sox. And I had to be real with myself for the first time in a while. I'm like, you know what? Currently, as things stand right now, I dislike the Rays more than I dislike the Red Sox.
Wow.
I do. Like the Red Sox got some players. Yeah, they got Devers, they got Bogarts, they got some nice players I like. They cool stadium, you know, you know, some history. It's the Red Sox. It's cool. But this is these fucking Rays, you know, this terrible team throwing two pitch starters, 2 inning starters, analytics, weird stadium, weird fans, weird city. But like, just no thanks. I preferred when Tampa was just like the bottom of the division. You never had to think about them. That's when I preferred them. So as much as I respect the Rays model and you know, a small team fighting in the big pond and things like that, I respect it. I think they're smart, but I hate fucking watching it. And they've been better than the Red Sox for a few years now. So they're currently the heels. I don't feel bad for the Rays.
Would you feel better about them if they were playing out of Montreal?
Oh, yeah. Any team that goes to Montreal is going to have my partial fanhood for sure. Yeah, I just want poutine sent to me in the mail.
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah. But no, I don't feel bad for them. The Mets, I mean, classic Mets. You know who I feel bad for when I talk about the Mets? I feel bad for their fans.
Oh,
I do. I know a lot of great people who are Mets fans.
yeah.
They didn't sign up for it. They just get cock teased every year. You know, like all these times they get to August and they feel so hopeful. They get to September, this time October, feeling so hopeful, and it just gets ripped from them, you know?
I love it. Last episode, we talked about the Timmy Trumpet thing and how quickly they turned on him when in the wild card game, they brought him out when Diaz came on and they were losing and they didn't know how to do the Enter Sandman thing like the correct way. Oh, it was awesome.
I told you it was dangerous. Dangerous road to go down.
Oh, you got to get a couple championships before you can bring the guy to perform on field every single time.
But at this point, man, you know what I'm hoping for now that I live where I live and stuff? I think Yankees Phillies would be a lot of fun at this point, you know? Let's let the Phillies get through and have a new local rivalry take place, you know?
Nah, man, I'm not trying to deal with that Philly stuff in another sport. No, thank you. We get like a fall off, or not even a fall off because of the Eagles and stuff like that. I don't know. Phillies fan, like when the Phillies are at their peak, they're almost as bad as Eagles fans.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
but the New York Yankees versus the Brooklyn Dodgers, you
That's
know,
fun.
I like it. I do like it.
Dodgers, Yankees, give me that. Any thoughts on the current ALDS, NLDS stuff? Seattle was a great story for a little bit, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified of these Astros.
yeah,
They look like they're on a damn tear, and they got this pitching, and this is going to be a tough series. But I think the Yankees and Astros are destined to play each other and kind of write this section of history and rewrite the cheating thing. And that's kind of just like, especially Judge is still on the team, Altuve. The only one you're missing is Correa from the original story. So I kind of think Yankees and Astros are on a collision course here for each other. And then as far as the NL goes, I think the Braves are, still, are should take this series against the Phillies. They're just a better team.
Yeah.
But the San Diego thing, the Dodgers ran into one of those, like, you didn't know what they were, and now we quickly are finding out what they can be without Tatis. And they have this kind of mojo about them. They have like this star power, and it's everything the GM was going for, was kind of having this team that can really take you in a series and really give you a hard time. So I think that's the one that's intriguing me the most right now, is this Fathers versus Dodgers series.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime, that ballpark in San Diego is great. I kind of don't know what their fan base is because I haven't had much success to be vocal. But if you think back to the 90s, they were kind of like a vocal fan base when they had like the Tony Gwynn thing going, stuff like that. So
I got to say that downtown area though in
yeah,
San Diego,
yeah,
where they have the games,
yeah.
it's kind of like if New Orleans was built in like 2012.
Right,
It's kind of
exactly.
got a very annoying feel because of it.
All right.
The gas lamp, that's
The
what it's
gas
called.
lamp disc.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was there in March.
Good on that.
Underwhelming, I
Good
thought.
on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Good on that.
But all right, let's move down since we're in the SoCal area of the region. Let's move over to Phoenix and a quick update on a story that we talked about last time we were together. It was just starting to materialize, the Robert Sarver situation. By now, you all have probably heard all about it, as he's trying to unposition himself as the head governor slash owner slash CEO of the Phoenix Suns down there in the desert. And we have had some speculation about who's going to take over for him, who he's looking at, who he could possibly sell to. A couple names in one ownership group that stood out to me, and it brings up a guy we talked about before, Jeff Bezos, and that'd be enough for any situation. Then you add Bob Iger to it, and Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, triple-headed monster coming to the Valley. I think that could be a game changer for Phoenix as a destination.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's been explained to me on podcasts, but I couldn't really understand it because it doesn't work this way with music. Like Phoenix is not an LA market,
right?
When you're a musician, Phoenix is Phoenix.
Yeah,
which is fine, but it's not like but I listen to these podcasts and you hear like your Michael Wilbons or Bill Simmons, and they're like, oh yeah, when you live in LA, you could take your little plane to Phoenix and be there in like 20 minutes. And, so it seems like it's a little bit of like an LA rich people playground kind of thing going on, which I didn't realize.
100%.
So of course, like, you have this, the one thing that's always stunning about Phoenix when I was there and when I'm there is like, you can build anything anywhere. They just made the place. It's like it appeared in like the 1970s. There's never traffic because all the highways are like 12 fucking lanes big. This is what cities look like when they were built for cars and lots of people. It's like it's basically the farthest thing from an East Coast city.
Yeah.
So you have the opportunity in places like this to build like mega stadiums with their own pathways to go there, and these crazy complexes and all the things you really can't pull off in the East Coast, or not easily. So I think it's a very intriguing place. It's a huge team and a huge market. And anytime they're good, Suns fans are out in droves. So it makes a perfect amount of sense.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I work with a bunch of people that have been involved with the Suns and still currently are. And that trip to San Diego and that whole like little Southern California beach area is like some of them have like second houses there, and it's like a very quick trip. As an East Coaster, I'm like, if it's not 2 hours, I don't think that that's a quick trip.
Right.
But when you're like Midwest or like out there, it's like, oh, 4 hours, we can do that for the
Oh,
weekend. It's like, okay.
easy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
4 hours. I'm like, I'm in Canada.
yeah, right, exactly. But interesting situation going on there. Phoenix reloaded, ready for this year and everything and stuff like that. But let's get into the reason why we're here today. NBA season preview. We're back just in time for the new season to start. Very excited about a bunch of different things. But Benny, do you want to get into this NBA GM survey?
I do. Well, it's a little
Yeah.
boring, but sure.
Okay. Well, we'll spice it up a little bit. So every year before the start of the season, the NBA does exactly what I just said. They survey the general managers of every single team to find out who they're feeling, what everyone is thinking ahead of the upcoming season. So we start at the mountaintop. Last year, the Golden State Warriors won the championship, and oh my gosh, in all the planning for this, we didn't even discuss Draymond Green, which I love.
It's true.
But NBA GMs this year believe that the Bucks, 43% of NBA GMs think that the Bucks are the favorite to win the NBA championship. And I don't know about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I think, the going, convention right now is the idea that the Bucks would have won the championship if Chris Middleton was healthy.
Mm.
So they brought back essentially the same roster to do that. But that's where I disagree with like essentially the same roster to a point. I mean, I thought that DiVincenzo for Ibaka swap was a little useless.
Yeah.
And I'm still not knowing if Ibaka is going to ever give them anything good. And DiVincenzo went to the team that's currently favored, and probably going to play a nice role there. I also see like Brook Lopez, who I didn't exactly get more faith in last season, seeing his injury problems and what he looked like when he came back. So sort of the role situation in Milwaukee did change a little, and it's not exactly the same. I mean, you are bringing back Drew, Giannis, Chris, Portis, like this like solid group that, should be as good as anyone in the East. But the thing that I don't agree with the GMs is I don't understand why this puts them over the Warriors.
I think the addition of Joe Ingles, people like GMs love him around the league a lot. So I think that, but that's not till November, Christmas time. So
yeah, I don't know about that. So that's where the Warriors, to me, have some net positives just in youth, and that's where I think you're looking at a Warriors team that now has Klay Thompson, on his second year off injury, and he should look a lot more comfortable than he did. Wiseman looks good in preseason and still looks sharp and can help with those loony minutes. And then Kuminga and Moody both should take steps, and adding DiVincenzo and Curry's a different player. The only thing that, and Jordan Poole, obviously the punchy, who seems like a fucking, wild offensive player to watch. I mean, like really, really fun stuff. So, the way I look at it right now, I actually see the Warriors a little higher than the Bucks currently.
Yeah, I do too. I would have the Bucks even with the Boston Celtics right now because I think that there's a lot of wild cards. I would have it Warriors number one, man, and honestly, on like the 3 spot are dead even. Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks. Because I know that you're not so high on your Nets. Dude, I bleep and love what they're doing here.
Well, here's the thing where I'm not going to put the Nets into this category, especially not now. Yeah. But the point of contention I did have with this list is why are 21% of GMs voting for the Clippers? Like, if we're really basing these off seasons on paper, for teams that haven't done anything, then the Nets should be getting 20% of the votes. That's where it's like if we're imagining this season as like, oh, if everything works out perfectly for the Los Angeles Clippers, sure, they may have a chance. but they haven't shown anything with this roster telling me that they can win a championship right now,
Yeah.
just as the Nets didn't. So I feel like if the Clippers are in that category, the Nets need to be in the same one. It's a beautiful team on paper who has shown you absolutely nothing, right?
Yeah. We know more about Denver, who has been missing
Right.
Jamal Murray, and they should be
Exactly.
getting more love on this list than the LA Clippers. But
I
with
agree.
all that said, I think you can't sleep on the Clippers because like they could potentially have a five. Kawhi seems healthy and in a great mindset. Paul George is already like, I'm number 2 to Kawhi, which is what you love to see. Norman Powell, Robert Covington, John Wall, love that on paper.
There's a lot of ifs in that 5 you just said.
Yeah.
Like Robert Covington is older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't exactly like John Wall. We have no idea what the long-term production for over a full season is going to be. Kawhi and Paul George both have just as littered injury troubles. Paul George with the playoff troubles. Like, I don't know. I'm very intrigued by it, but it certainly does not seem like a sure thing to me. And then I don't understand. I hate to say it. I don't even want to say it. It makes me upset to say it. But the fact that the team you said, the Denver Nuggets, and also the Sixers, just didn't get one vote, a little percentage that way with the kind of stuff they're bringing back. I think there's some other teams in the mix here.
Yeah. And that brings us the perfect segue to go down the Eastern Conference. So like you mentioned, they have Philadelphia 3rd, Brooklyn 4th, Miami 5th, which I mean, and Cleveland 6th. So you have this 6 here that is like, I really feel like they're just kind of rolling the dice and however it came out happened. I think Cleveland is this year a little bit better than Miami. I mean, if you want to read into Miami having like Lowry back, they picked up Jovic, who I think is going to have like a Doncic like rookie season and could be a big factor for them. But Philadelphia, I mean, people loved what they've done this offseason. They had PJ Tucker as one of the best acquisitions. To only pick them 3rd, and Boston, I know on paper, once again, on paper has a lot to love, but they've got leadership questions.
That's right. I think there's going to be surprises in each of these, and I think, I think the biggest one for the Eastern Conference for me is the Raptors, who I consider probably a top 6 team who's going to be in the playoffs without the play-in, which to me means one of the Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks, the Bulls, the Cavs, the Knicks are going to be on the outside looking in.
I mean, I think the Knicks are going to be on the outside looking in regardless. But yeah, I mean, when you brought that up, you know, I think a lot of their success, Fred VanVleet's great. Can Scotty Barnes take that jump? If he's in the most improved player conversation, then they're in the 6-4 range.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a solid team. Brought in Otto Porter, like a couple interesting pieces. They're long, and at the bare minimum, you know, every team who plays the Raptors is going to have a hell of a night trying to score some points. So I have a lot of faith in that team.
And I think Atlanta not being included in there is more people are not sure that Trae Young can be the best player on a team that is a top 4 seed. But if he proves that takes that next jump to the next echelon, then Atlanta's right up there because I think DeJounte Murray on defense is huge.
Atlanta to me is one of the bigger variable teams on this side in the East, where, you know, I could see them by game 30, game 40 being like, all right, fuck it, we got to trade John Collins. Like this ain't the year, you know, or by that time them figuring it out. But you know, you don't have a lot of recent historical precedents for 2 guard sets, especially smaller guards, and that working in a very functional way without, you know, a lot of pick and roll and stuff. So I think that's where people are intrigued but have more question marks about the Hawks.
Let's move over to the Western Conference, and the GMs have me scratching my head here. So their list is they got the Clippers 1, Golden State 2. I don't know how you can even do that. Phoenix 3, Denver 4, Memphis 5, Dallas 6, Minnesota 6. LA Lakers 8, like that's got to be the LeBron factor there. And New Orleans 9. I would have New Orleans over the Lakers in an absolute heartbeat. You got to put the champs up top. I don't care what LA says about all of this. Like you got to have Golden State number 1. And then Denver and Memphis over Phoenix right now. Phoenix has a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, in the West here, we're definitely going to have like one of these teams who everyone is predicting to be very good being not very good.
Yeah.
And I think the teams in that category currently are Phoenix, and I know I think it's Phoenix, I think it's the Clippers, and I think it's the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm.
I think these are the teams that I think have enough question marks and are Clippers aren't poised for a regression
Yeah.
because of where they started, but I think Memphis is poised for a little bit of a regression, and so is Phoenix because of the current situation, and that to me moves up some teams that people aren't considering as locks for the top 6. I mean, I think Denver is a lock for the top
Yeah.
6. I think Minnesota is pretty fucking close to a lock for the top 6. I don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs, but that seems like a great regular season team to
Yeah.
me that's going to roll through a lot of teams with injury troubles and stuff like that. And so I do think we're looking at like one of Phoenix, Memphis, maybe Dallas, one of these teams kicking into the play-in tournament.
Yeah, Minnesota is top 5, top 4. If Anthony Edwards can take that next step, he's kind of like been a mixed bag during the preseason. But like as you said, like the Gobert acquisition was huge. But I really think that their ability to like be elite kind of hinges on Anthony Edwards taking the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I have full confidence in Anthony Edwards taking the
Mm.
next step. That's like a dude in the league right now that I have the fewest concerns about in a lot of ways.
I was meaning to ask you, what's your question marks about Memphis? Josh staying healthy?
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Memphis where I just like I see their interior presence. I see Adams again, where we're going into the preseason where like, one of these starting spots is going to be split between Aldama and Brandon Clark.
Yeah.
I have a hard time trusting what I see from John Morant over 82 games in a playoff series. I haven't seen it yet. I have a hard time believing it. There's just something about this team that feels like, it feels like the Hawks a couple years ago. Like I feel like they overplayed their potential a little in a certain season, and they're just due for a regression here.
Yeah. All right. So if we're doing it right now, NBA Finals prediction on the eve of the season, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I got to stay boring, I'm afraid. The only other team right now I see like coming close to the Bucks is the Sixers, and I'm not fucking saying that just because I don't want to. So, so I got to be boring, and I kind of got to go with the crowd here, and I think it's Bucks Warriors.
I really want that. I'm gonna rock with you too. My gosh, Milwaukee in April, the Bay in May. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much fun here. And then just a quick individual things. The MVP survey here. Luka Doncic, 48% of the vote. Giannis coming in at number 2. Joel, number 3. Steph Curry, number 4. I think the MVP this year is going to be Doncic's or Embiid's to lose.
Yeah, I agree with you on Embiid. I think that's the setup here. See now for me, for Luka to win MVP this year, Dallas has to be what?
4?
They got to be just a playoff team, a top 6, right?
I think you got to be a little bit higher than that for him to get MVP.
Yeah. So I mean, let's say bare minimum, Dallas has to be like a 55 win team for him to win MVP. And that's where I don't totally believe in Dallas to be that team.
Yeah.
So as I believe in Luka and his ability and the off season, and the Olympics or the international games where he looked great and which will probably lead to him being in better shape and stuff. I don't have that much faith in Dallas, and that's where I don't have as much faith in his MVP standing. And I think the thing Embiid has on his side is the fact that he's come close already. And he's had a couple seasons where people already thought he should have won it. Yeah. So I think if Philly is in like the top 2 or 3 in the East and Embiid actually plays a full, 65 plus games, I think he's kind of set up for it to be his year.
Yeah, and Giannis has been a little bit too. People are viewing him as a little bit too untouchable now, and that makes me a little bit nervous. I,
Yeah.
I love that he's in the conversation, but
And I'm waiting for the other shoe to
yeah,
drop, right? I am too.
100%.
I know. I'm scared, but
Um,
I am too.
let's move to most likely to have a breakout season. This is where we kind of separate the men from the boys a little bit. They think Evan Mobley most likely to have a breakout season. Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards tied at number 2 and number 4. Zion Williamson. When you look at those 4 names, if Zion Williamson like propels this team to where they can be, and man, he's looking lean, he's looking tough, and he's looking good. I think that this is his to lose.
Yeah, I actually agree. Yeah, I think Zion looks strong, and I think like this is definitely like his year to just remind everyone of like 2 years ago when we were like, holy shit, who the
Yeah.
fuck is this guy? You know, I think there's going to be a lot of that. I do have a weird feeling about a couple point guards in the league. People are looking past. I really like the Kings to be, you know, like in the mix for the play-in game and in the mix for the playoff year. And I think the Aaron Fox is going to have a breakout season and be a lot improved. And my boy Jalen Brunson here in New York, I think it's a great fit. And I think like Jalen Brunson's going to have a step above year, and the Knicks are actually going to, you know, win 40 plus games, and he could be in contention for it too.
Now the thing with the Knicks and Jalen Brunson like that is if Jalen Brunson is able to make Julius Randle back to his current form or even better, that's how they're gonna have to have the chance. If he can elevate guys, now we know he's good, we know he can step up, but can he elevate the guys around him? And that's putting a lot on a guy like Jalen Brunson. I mean, like we saw at Villanova how he was able to step guys up, but we haven't seen that in the NBA.
I mean, I wouldn't say that totally, but it's a totally different story here with him in Dallas. Like, you know, Dallas, his job was quite different. You know,
Yeah.
it's just to service this one guy and optimize him. You know, I think he's really brought into New York and a Thibs thing to be that like I just it's like when just the perfect guy gets hired for the perfect role. And if you were like, who in the NBA could be Tom Thibodeau's undersized, lunch pail, 40-minute a game point guard who can just run this offense exactly the way he wants with no mistakes, this and that, I'd be like, Jalen Brunson, maybe? You know, and it just like something about the fit just really works for me.
So he's like Bulls era Taj Gibson 2.0.
No, I mean, I'm not saying he's Derrick Rose, but
Yeah.
it's like, you know, if you're talking about Tom Thibodeau knows how to optimize undersized point guards.
Yeah, it's true.
That he has a history of doing. So, you know.
Bullish Benny on the Knicks over here. All right.
I know. It's I don't like how high I am on the Knicks and the Sixers going into this offseason.
Oh my
but
gosh.
I think they're both quite good.
All right. Let's move let's evaluate some GMs here. Best moves made in the offseason by team. GMs voted Cleveland Cavaliers number 1 with 41% of the vote, which is the distance between the Cavs and the Timberwolves and the Sixers here is like too much. So number 1 on this list, Cleveland Cavaliers, tied for second, Wolves and 76ers, and then also tied for second here. GM's high on what the Utah Jazz have done.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing about these polls is like the Cavaliers and what they did is it's, you know, it's still a paper decision.
Yeah.
We don't know how this is going to play out. And
they look good.
And the fact that the Cavs are being looked at so much more favorably than the Timberwolves doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because they both did the same thing. And actually the T-Wolves are probably in a little bit better of a position to start to win now. So in that conversation, I think the Timberwolves are being a little underlooked. But as far as the best offseason, to me, it's the fucking Jazz.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like if you didn't, here is the thing with the Jazz that the problem they've had for 2 or 3 years. It's just been an identity problem.
Yeah.
You know, and once that team that won 65 regular season games walked into the playoffs and just didn't have that, it needed to be blown up right after that. And you know, and last year was all just kind of like some saving face and, you know, one last year, and someone came in and optimized those 2 players. I mean, more than did anyone imagine going into the offseason that one of Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell could yield 3 to 5 unprotected first round draft picks?
Right.
No. No one would have said that was even possible. You would have been like, fuck no, someone's going to give that up for Rudy Gobert. And they did. And now Utah is like in the best rebuilding situation of anyone in the league. So if anybody, flip their chances of having a good next decade more than Utah, like literally you went from a team completely stuck to now a team with a great chance to get the alien.
Victor.
And huh?
No, he goes on social media as Wemby, and I'm just waiting for that to catch on.
Oh,
Victor
Wemby?
Wembanyama, yeah, Wemby.
Yeah, I'm going with the alien still. If it's not offensive, I don't know. Might be.
Oh man, yeah, no. Like the interesting thing about the Jazz when it comes to getting into that sweepstakes is I still think that they may have too much talent because like when you go down this lineup, I mean, if you compare them next to a team that's like really trying to get to the bottom in like Houston, right? As they continue their rebuild, I mean, you got Lloyd Markkanen, you got Colin Sexton, you got Jordan Clarkson, and we're a week away from the season, and they're still on the team, so it looks like that they're gonna stick there. That's still a team that can be very competitive in the Western Conference. I mean, they've added a Talen Horton-Tucker that's looking to kind of like resurrect his career a little bit. There's a lot of nice pieces that Danny Ainge has collected, so maybe not a full rebuild here.
Yeah, but I feel like if any of those pieces shows what they can show, they're gone.
Yeah, that's true.
Like what is the point of Mike Conley or Jordan Clarkson or any of these guys being on this team? I think that they're going to have a heck of a fire sale towards the trade deadline as well.
Seems very Cavs year after, even 2 years after LeBron to me. All right,
if you're gonna blow it up, blow it the fuck up.
That's right. All right, let's look at Rookie of the Year, shall we? I was watching this guy the other night. The guy that GMs voted most likely to win Rookie of the Year, Paolo Banchero, looked pretty decent. They also voted Keegan Murray and Jabari Smith in their top 3. So 1, 2, 3, Banchero, Murray, Smith. I think that the person that is going to win Rookie of the Year isn't even on the board, and that's Jaden Ivey.
Oh, I love that we're both pivoting, but in different ways. I also believe it's going to be someone not on the board.
Who?
But not Jaden Ivey.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be Benedict Mathurin.
Oh, look at that. You listen to Zach Lowe.
Huh?
No.
I'm watching this guy blow up the preseason. I mean, this is an extremely talented offensive player.
On Denver, right?
What's that?
On Denver?
Indiana.
Okay.
And on a team that's just going to fucking load him up with shots this year. I mean, they got no one, and they're trying to lose, and they have this really talented wing who can put up, and I really think, like, he's going to start pushing 20 points a game, and Orlando is actually going to try to win some games. And there's a chance, like, Paolo has some nights where he's 12 points, 7 rebounds, and Franz Wagner went off, or Carter had a bigger game, or Cole Anthony went off. Orlando's a better team who's actually starting to fight towards the bottom end of that the play-in stuff. Indiana, I think shortly into the season is going to be a true tank job, and I think Mathurin's going to be the biggest benefactor of said tank job.
I mean, when you look at Indiana like that, you got Halliburton, you still have Buddy Hield, you still have Miles Turner, him. That's a decent crew. That's a decent crew there.
I guess I'm in the logic here that Indiana's going to see themselves as the 35-40 win team they are, and Miles Turner and Buddy Hield both will not be there by midseason, and they're going to be in the alien sweepstakes as well.
I love it. See, every team in the NBA this year is so interesting. I was watching Orlando the other night. Cole Anthony looks like he's taken the step. And I think Banchero, he was beating the Grizzlies so hard on the backdoor cut the other night. I think as he tries to find his feet in the league, that's how he's going to get his start. And then he's only going to get more confident from there. So Orlando.
There's really only a few teams, most of which are in the Western Conference, that are going into this year saying we don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say that's Utah, that's Oklahoma City, that's San Antonio, and that's Houston.
Yeah.
And on the Eastern side, what's interesting is, you look at, like you said, Indiana or Detroit or Orlando, Washington. Those are all teams that, if everything breaks right, could be in the play-in tournament conversation midway into the season. And like, that's what's fascinating to me, is what teams like that are going to do. There's clearly no chance that they're going to win the championship, but are they going to, try to build and keep going? Or are they going to tank and try to get one of these top 5 picks? It's crazy valuable next year.
It, as many have been speculating, a race to the bottom of the league. That will be very interesting to see. So as we start on the league, we're both going with Golden State, Milwaukee meeting in the finals. Do you think that this Draymond Green story is going to linger throughout? Do you think he's going to get traded by the deadline, or do you think by the time we get to November and he's back with the team and they're rolling, we're going to have forgot that he even punched Jordan Poole in the face?
There's a lot of ways this can break, of course, and a lot of it has to do with how Draymond plays, how Jordan Poole plays, and how the Warriors play. If the Warriors come out of the gates and everybody looks good and everyone's in their roles, then no one's going to talk about the punch, because now they're just, going towards the thing everybody wants in the end. But if anything goes wrong, sure, that's going to be a huge storyline, especially with Draymond's impending free agency. But I guess by historical precedence, I'm leaning towards this situation being figured out, because it's the Warriors and it's Draymond, and they have a history of these things where you'd be like, oh, that's a game changer. That's going to fuck this team up. That's going to fuck this up. And somehow Bob Myers and Draymond and everybody seem to have enough meetings behind closed doors that are useful, because they get over this stuff a lot. And I think everybody realizes the best way for a championship is having Draymond Green and Jordan Poole on the same team at the same time.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that one actually works itself out inexplicably.
This will be forgotten because this will all be content. Jordan Poole will go on Draymond Green's podcast, and
Right.
it'll be the highest rated thing he's ever had.
Yeah.
But we're going to
be called the How Did It Taste podcast.
Oh my gosh. We're going to still be talking about the Lakers and Russell Westbrook long after we've forgotten about this. And this has just been a weird situation in the preseason. Russ claiming that he's always stood outside of the team huddles and stuff like that, when that's complete bullshit. We have seen him time and time again be a guy trying to lead the huddle. So I think he's just a case of, hey, if I'm not leading the huddle, I don't give a fuck. And Patrick Beverley is coming in here and trying to take in that role. So what do you make of Russell Westbrook, year 2 of this drama in Los Angeles?
I mean, I don't fall for it. Like, Russell Westbrook's in the Kyrie Irving category for me now. We know exactly who he is. Okay, like he's made no bones about it. We know exactly who he is. I'm not waiting for a change.
Yeah.
And no, I don't think Russ is going to be a useful reserve player. It's not who he is. It's not who he's ever going to be. And I think he's going to lose minutes, and this is going to turn into a fucking thing. It has to. I don't know how else it's going to turn. And, the Lakers would be well suited to get that situation sorted out as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, they've got to. Because I just see a situation where this lingers and then you waste it, unless this is all part of LeBron's big scheme to try to get Victor.
This is where I think we give LeBron too much credit.
Okay.
It's like, sure, he's a puppet master. Sure, he can get like, oh, let me bring J.R. Smith back on this team or something like that. Like, he's got some pull. But to think like Russell Westbrook can be controlled by LeBron. Like, Russell Westbrook is his own meteor. He's his own entity. Like these guys can't control each other, So I don't think this is some mastermind job by LeBron.
Did you happen to pick up the keys?
Don't they not even have, like, even if they tank, don't they not even have their pick? So I don't even think they can be in the Victor sweepstakes.
I think they have 2, but they've seemed to be working.
I think it's 27 and 29 are the only first rounders they have, and those are the ones they're dangling to try to get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and guys like that. So No, Lakers. I think you got to find a John Wally home for Russell Westbrook as quickly as you can.
By the way, I didn't get a chance to ask you this. Did you pick up the keys to that $30 million mansion that Russ left behind that he said he was going to give to me?
I didn't, but I squatted it for one night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Love that.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
made a hot pocket. I took a shit. Used the hot tub. It was quite nice. Yeah.
All right. Plenty of ways to get in contact with the show. You can email us at thetuneuppodcast@gmail.com. Please do. We're on all the social platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the TuneUp HQ. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're having fun over here. The videos are coming back your way, about to flood your timeline. If you want to follow Big Man, he is at Benny Horowitz on Instagram. I'm at Deny Gallagher. Benny, got anything else?
Let's get back to it. The winter's coming. We got to love everybody. Jackie Moon it, Every
day, all day. The show has ended. Go in peace. You've been listening to The Tune Up.